Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the call. We're just about to start. We're just waiting for a few more attendees to dial in, and then we'll kickstart. So we'll just wait for. We'll give them a minute or two. Maybe we might kickstart at the at 11:03 mark or something like that. But yeah, hang tight. We're just about to start. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ingram Micro Veeam Technical Sales Professional Enablement webinar. So this is the third training session we've done this quarter. The first being an overview, a Veeam sales overview. Second, we did an overview for on cloud for cloud partners, and this session we're focusing on getting Veeam certified. We're just about to start. I can see a few more attendees are still trickling in. So I might just, we've had really good uptake with partners, wanting to do this certification course. So we're just waiting for a couple of more so they don't miss out. So we're just going to give them a minute or two, and then I might as well get started. But yeah, it's a nice sunny Friday morning here in Sydney. I hope you all are doing well wherever you are, and hope you're all keeping well and safe in these trying times that we're dealing with the pandemic, and hope everyone's doing okay. And thank you for taking your time to join us this morning. And I might as well get started. Time check 11:03. As promised, I'll kick off at about 11:03, and then I might just repeat a few slide decks for those that might join after the call. So without further ado, we might as well get started. Next slide, please. So just a quick introduction. So who's who within the Veeam team here at Ingram? So that's myself, top left corner. So I'm Bernie, I'm the Veeam BDM here at Ingram. I've been here for just under 5 years, just about to do 5 years here at Ingram. My main role and my only role at Ingram is I am your Veeam go-to. I am your Veeam evangelist. I've been the main Veeam guy at Ingram for for a fair bit. So I may have met some of you, or virtually or physically. If not, lovely to meet you virtually. Hopefully at some point we'll meet in person, and thank you for joining the call. I've got a counterpart of mine, Jacob Foraker. So Jake looks after the MSP side of things, the VCSP. So for cloud service providers who provide Veeam, managed services, or cloud service provider service offerings. So we've got Jake. And with me on the call today, I've got the pleasure to have Pankaj, our dedicated Veeam solution. Hey Pankaj, how's it going?
Guys. Good. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Good.
Hey,
So
welcome
Pankaj,
everyone on the call. Yeah.
so Pankaj is going to be driving most of the presentation today. I'll touch through and then do a bit of an overview from a sales perspective, from a channel perspective, and from a market perspective. And on the call as well, part of the Veeam team, we've got Christina. So Christina is our product manager. So she owns the business unit here at Veeam. So anything that you may require, you can reach out to her as well. So Next slide, please. So just to set the tone and set the pace. So this morning we're talking about, understanding and overcoming, challenges that we have in the marketplace at the moment. And we're going to talk about Veeam, understanding the Veeam solution and how the Veeam solution adds value with those challenges. We're going to talk about Office 365. And then we're going to talk about, archiving to the cloud, leveraging, you could be leveraging, third-party storage, in the AWS, like S3 or Glacier or Azure, depending on the hyperscaler that is of your choice. And we're going to be talking about protecting different cloud hybrid workloads. Next one, please. So what happened last year? So last year was unexpected. That's not. It's a delivery that we ordered but didn't expect. So who knew that it was going to be a year of challenges? And with that came a lot of things that were unexpected. So the global economy, like there was 11% economic uncertainty because no one knew what was going to happen. Because you'd find customers either delaying purchases, delaying projects. They went from, coming up with 10, 15, year, 5-year strategies to, what are we going to do next? Like in the next 6 months or the next 3 months, what are we going to do now? So there was a lot of uncertainty. And because of that, and because of a lot of people working from home, the cloud adoption actually grew exponentially. So 96% of organizations accelerated to the cloud. And with that, there was an opportunity for ransomware attackers. And guess what? It increased sevenfold. So ransomware attacks increased sevenfold because of all those vulnerabilities. And then you look at it and think, okay, so with all those cyber attacks and outages, etc., and then there were, industry studies showed a realization that 58% of the data that people were backing up couldn't be recovered. So what's the point of running backups if you can't recover, if your backups fail? Next slide, please. So pretty much that's the landscape that we're faced with, right? So challenges in the landscape, and COVID, changed the way we perceive things. 60% cloud service growth. SaaS also grew 48%. Ransomware, I mentioned, sevenfold, increase, and I touched on 96% of our organizations, expect to accelerate, their investments within the cloud. Next, please. So here's the reality. So shocking stats: 37% of backup jobs fail. That's a large number. 1% is too much. 37% of backup jobs fail. 34 restore jobs fail. So, a third of restore jobs fail. And out of those, recovery, like 50%, 58% fail. So data protection in the market from an overview is struggling. And, without, there are a lot of technology vendors out there that sell data protection and backup software. But the reality is a lot of these restore jobs and backups are failing from legacy systems in the market. Next one, please. So this is where Veeam comes in. So Veeam promises that it's modern day data protection. So Veeam guarantees you it's a great product. It's well received with customers. That's where it comes in as the differentiator. It's easy to use, reliable ransomware protection. And if you look at if you look at the future, we're talking about, it's well placed in the future with Kubernetes, and from a SaaS application, backs up Office 365, and then depending on the hypervisor you're running, whether it's AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud, Veeam can back up all those workloads. So either, for legacy servers, physical servers on-prem to cloud workloads, Veeam can back up that one, back up those. Next one, please. And so what are the analysts saying? So Forrester and Gartner, these are well received. So their opinions are well received, and Gartner just recently in July, in their most recent report from the data protection category, they placed Veeam as market leaders. Forrester as well said, came up and said 83% of the Fortune 500. Now these are big customers, and these big customers have long-term strategies in terms of due diligence. They don't just buy off the shelf. So they review. They take a while to decide on what technology they're going to use. Now, if you find 83% of the Fortune 500 on Veeam, that's a big deal. And in terms of industry awards, Veeam has won a fair few, over 200. Next one, please. So from a design strategy, like Veeam is simple to deploy, simple to use. It's fairly easy, click and point. It's flexible. Like I mentioned earlier, you can any hypervisor, anywhere, any offering, on-prem, in the cloud, hybrid. It's reliable. So it's one of those. So Veeam has got a high net promoter score. So a net promoter score is how often or how frequent can a customer come with a repeat purchase. So if they purchase Veeam, what are the chances of them coming back for a repeat purchase, and how likely are they to recommend Veeam to another potential customer? So it's a high net promoter score, testament about their customer satisfaction, and it's a powerful tool too. It's very powerful, which you'll see as we go through and deep dive with the technical session. Next one, please. So let's talk about the fundamentals of the Veeam data protection platform. So protect your data, manage your data, and then so Veeam's vision is, like I touched on, Kubernetes and containers for the future. So it's always evolving and always growing. Next one, please. Next one, please. So if you're still unsure about Veeam or unsure about what the product is and why you should position Veeam instead of other products, it's with the stats I touched on earlier without repeating. These are some of the reasons why Veeam. Shorter backup windows, 3 times more backups per day, and from a cost perspective, it's cost effective. We'll talk about CDP, and a few more without taking thunder out of the technical session. But I just wanted to give a high level overview. Next one, please. So for the purposes of this call, because we want to get all certified, right? So you're going to need a login to the Pro Partner Portal. And can I invite everyone on the call, if they don't have a login to Veeam Pro Partner, to please do that now while we're going through the session. So basically, all you have to do is just type in propartner.veeam.com, and then once you navigate there, you're going to be asked either to sign in if you've got an existing partner account. If not, you just go in there and create a partner account. It's fairly easy. It's an online web form, and then once you do that, once you register, enter your domain, register, it'll create a pro partner ID for yourself under your company name, and then the process is it'll go to somebody at Veeam to tick a box and approve. So during the training session today, I'll be reaching out to the team at Veeam to approve the applications as they flow in. So feel free to do that now. Pro partner, just to repeat, propartner.veeam.com. Next one, please. So once you're in, for those of you that already have a login, so once you're in, just navigate to Veeam University or Veeam IQ, and then in there, under the certification tab, you'll see the VMSP/VMTSP. So VMSP is the sales one and VMTSP is the technical one. So just select those. And then once you do that, it'll take you to the next window. And then certifications. And then from there, you can click to get started. So what we've done in the past sometimes is as we're doing the training material, like some people will be, browsing, it just depends with yourself, but everyone's different. But now let me quickly touch on the Pro Partner Program. So the benefits, so why get certified? I think that's an important topic, and that's why most of us are here. So why get certified? So the more skin you put in the game, the more you get. So somebody today who's a new Veeam partner will sign up and create a Veeam partner account. Apologies if you guys can hear background noise. My neighbor just decided to run power tools when I'm hosting a webinar. The beauty of working from home. So the Pro Partner portal, once you register, you'll get registered partner status. Now, what do you get as a registered partner? So you get, you can transact Veeam. What else? There's not much else. You can do it. You can submit a DRH, which is great, and the DRH helps you. Sorry, can you move back? Yeah, actually, yeah, that's fine. You can go back. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, so you can submit a DRH as a registered partner, but as a registered partner, there aren't any additional discounts. But what it does, the beauty about it is it locks out any other partner from doing a drive-by. So it locks that opportunity. You become the partner of record on that opportunity. And then once you become a silver, so to become a silver, what does it take? So the certs that we're sitting today, so if you've got one sales and one technical certification, revenue, do up some, sell some Veeam, and then that moves you up to silver. And then for a gold partner, it's pretty much the same, but the only difference is for DRH, as you can see, you get more, so deeper discounts on DRH. So as a gold partner, you get 10% DRH discounts versus 6 from a silver. And then on top of that, if it's a new to Veeam customer, you also get another accelerator of 4%, which is the NBO, so new business opportunity. So silver partner, 6 plus 4, 10. So you're in front by 10 points versus other partners. Gold partner, 10 plus 4, that's 14. And then for the platinum partners, now we're talking about $1 million USD revenue a year. You'll need Veeam certified, engineer, Veeam certified, architect certification. But with that, the benefits are just that you get more. You get a dedicated Veeam channel person. You get more in terms of marketing funds, campaigns, lead gen campaigns. The more benefits, the more skin in the game you put in. So as a starting point, certification is key. And then from there, revenue as well. So the more revenue, the more you move up the stack and the deeper discounts you get. Yeah, next one, please. All right, so that's me. That's my quick overview on Veeam. and now we're getting into the crux of it. So that's my 15 minutes just to give a quick overview of Veeam. Any questions, feel free to ask uh, during the call or after the call. So now I'm going to hand over to the capable hands of Mr. Pankaj so we can start talking tech and get under the hood and actually get into the meat on the bone. Thank you very much. I'll be around.
Thank,
I'll be on the call, just keeping an eye on the chat box. So if you've got any questions, feel free to shoot them through, and then I'll be having a look at them as we're going along. All right, thank you, everyone. All right, over to Pankaj.
thanks, Bernie. Thanks for the introduction and very nice sales stuff. And hi, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you for joining the call. I'm going to be the geek today, and I do have some surprise for you during the session. So I think we can just get started. And I'm going to present the slide deck again. Yep. So how do we start our journey? Okay. And the first thing that we talk to the customers, even though it's a technical outlook, we need to start the conversation because a lot of customers face daily challenges related to how they are using and managing the data. And asking the right questions, building the rapport, knowing their current environment helps us uncover the pain points, helps us uncover the business challenges that they are facing. And that gets us talking. The most important queries would be, or the starting point for the conversation should be asking simple questions like, is your current solution able to adapt to your changing business? So this is something that's a necessity because all the business keep on changing daily. And if your solution is not able to adapt to the changing business, you need to change the solution. Okay. And whether it's reliable. So when you take backups, especially when we take backups, do we test the backups? Are they recoverable? Can we restore to a point in time? Because most of the time we take the daily backups, we take the weekly backups, we take the monthly backups, but how often do we test them? Only when they are required. And what happens? They don't run. So are the backups recoverable? Is the system reliable? And the third and the most important question is about flexibility. How portable is our data? Because everybody is moving from physical to virtual and from virtual to cloud. So how is the current solution helping us with the cloud strategy? So these are the very key questions that are going to run with the customer. And we are going to understand what the current technology customer is using, what are the pain points, and how we can provide a solution-oriented approach to implement Veeam into the system, because Veeam has a lot of solutions. Also, we can find out, where they are meeting the compliance requirements, because Veeam does have a new solution for it. So when you ask these questions, most of the time, customers are facing challenges really what we see in the screen. So in today's environment, IT is agile, and the ability to deliver these applications that can scale to meet customer demands is very critical. When customers have legacy on-premises infrastructure, the limitation to provide test and development environments that are needed to scale these applications is actually very difficult. And there is a solution for this, but most of the customers are still reluctant to move to the public cloud. Okay. The public cloud can definitely make these demands possible by scaling their business. But the reluctance or the fear is that everyone is faced with the question of how do we do it in a cost-effective and a reliable way? Well, here comes the solution. So Veeam backup and replication. So Veeam provides the tools that allow them to easily instantiate their on-premises test and development VMs into the cloud. So you can have the production environment run into your on-premises infrastructure, and you can have a similar test environment created into the cloud. So we can have a hybrid environment wherein the single pane of control stands with Veeam backup and replication. And the easiest way to do is to create a scale out backup repository. So you always have one copy on premises and one off premises on which you can do your innovations. You can run your test dev environment. The other part of the solution comes is archiving and retention requirements. So when we actually go ahead and archive in the cloud, how does the archiving work? So for example, if we take Veeam Backup for Microsoft Office 365, it manages and protects our Office 365 data, but it's completely into the cloud. So it's a complete solution for Office 365 in the cloud. Now, very important is it can be deployed on premises or in a hybrid environment as well. So it provides the customers the flexibility they need. And the third and the most important is the disaster recovery and compliance. So are the backups running? And when we run these disaster recovery, when we create replication on a disaster recovery site, we have to do manual testing and recovery processes. But with Veeam, with the Veeam data labs, it eliminates the manual testing and recovery process, which are efficient, lengthy, and error prone, and everything can be automated. It can be done on premises, in the cloud, or in a hybrid environment. With the Veeam disaster recovery orchestrator, customers can assure compliance requirements with rigorous reporting and actionable documentation. The tests are run in the data labs to ensure the product is not affected at all. So your production environment is never affected with the tests that run in the data labs because it's an isolated environment that's created. So these are the kind of questions which will help you to understand the current environment, understand the pain points, discuss the challenges they are facing in the environment, and provide Veeam solutions to the challenges. And the best way to close a conversation is always ask an open-ended question which are solution specific so that the customers get a chance to talk, ask their own questions, and let them know what is the next step they should go through, because there will be so much of information that you have relayed that they would not know where to start. So it's always a good thing to let them know how to start the journey. Let's move on to the Veeam solutions. So Veeam provides a number of solutions for moving into the cloud. So it's mostly integrated entirely with AWS, Azure, GCP. And we all know that legacy data protection costs a lot more as opposed to Veeam's modern data protection. It's been designed to accelerate the business agility. It provides a foundation necessary to simplify the backup and recovery and transform the way today's organizations manage and leverage data. With software as a service, we do have Office 365, OneDrive, Microsoft Teams. It also provides Veeam agent recoveries for databases, Active Directories, Kubernetes. It works extremely well with the virtual environments, as good as it works with the physical and the cloud environments. So the solution is designed to accelerate the business agility by providing a single platform for cloud, virtual, SaaS, Kubernetes, and physical data management and protection. It extends beyond the core backup and recovery which other solutions provide. With a single Veeam platform for cloud, virtual, and physical, we have backup and recovery, by which we are always confident that we can recover from any untimely situation quick and fast. We have cloud mobility, by which we can back up, restore, and protect critical data across any cloud with no lock-in. So that's the most important point. Most of the customers are afraid that there would be a lock-in. And for the mobility, the most important thing is that Veeam provides a format by which you can move in and out of cloud. So it's a portable data format. With the Veeam 1, the monitoring and analytics solution, we can always go ahead and monitor our environment, and we have the complete visibility across our environment. The disaster recovery orchestration, we can go ahead and test our replicas in a safe environment known as Veeam Data Labs, or we can design an on-demand sandbox to do all the data, orchestration that we need. With the data security and ransomware, we are always ensured that our backups, our restores are secure. So every time a restore is done, a secure restore is done, it actually goes ahead and checks for malware. We can do stage restore and ensure that we are compliant at all times. With the data reuse, so this is the most important feature, I would say, because most of the times the backups that we take are not used at all. So with the backups that exist, are we able to create some kind of an innovation? Are we able to use it? So the backups that are created could be used for business analytics, because it will be run in an identical environment in the Veeam data labs as is the production environments. So reusing the backup data, which is mostly locked up, is the most important solution that Veeam provides. Now, when we come to backup and recovery solution, we need to understand that it's not the Veeam backup and recovery solution that just works, but it also caters to our future needs across the environment or application. So moving towards the cloud tomorrow, it's flexible. We can move from a bare metal recovery or a bare metal physical system to virtual and to the cloud without any pain. It's flexible across multiple workloads, multiple storage, hardware, recovery needs, as opposed to other flexible backup and recovery systems in the market. It is fully software defined and seamlessly integrates to protect all IT platforms, whether they are physical, virtual, and cloud. It also provides a granular and verified recovery. It's because it's app aware, ensuring all your data is protected and recoverable. And it's fast. It's very fast to recover critical workloads with the instant VM recovery or instant file recovery feature, which helps customers to meet their RTOs and RPOs or SLAs. With the cloud mobility feature, Veeam provides portability, protection, and simple licensing of workloads across the clouds. We can free up data to move where we need it and when we need it across clouds at no charge. Moving our workloads to AWS, Azure, and GCP by backing up, recovering, and migrating with a truly portable data format. So that's the portable data format that we were talking about earlier. It makes it easier for us to actually move in virtual environments as well as clouds. So tomorrow, if you do not want to use some services in AWS, Azure, you can easily move your workload to Google Cloud or to any other cloud. And we could also, the most important thing is we can move these workloads by maintaining the business continuity, no matter where we run our workloads. We can provide long-term retention as well as modernize our storage at the same time by moving into the cloud. And that also leads to decreasing the costs. With the cloud mobility feature, MSPs can actually leverage Veeam to provide backup as a service and disaster recovery as a service. We'll go through the MSP, the architecture, solution architecture in some time. Now with the DR orchestration, Veeam actually provides intelligent testing and orchestration for recovery operations to assist availability of any data or applications across our entire enterprise, even if a disaster occurs. What it provides us is with intelligent disaster recovery and planning and orchestration. It also helps us with automated testing of DR and migration plans, as discussed earlier, in an isolated environment. It provides complete auditing and tracking of disaster recovery SLAs with documented outcomes and guidance. So we can drill down and create reports in the disaster recovery orchestration by the use of Veeam One. When it comes to monitoring and analytics, what Veeam provides is Veeam One, which is artificial intelligence driven infrastructure monitoring and diagnostics. It includes automated remediation of unexpected issues and capacity planning for critical backup and DR processes. Has built-in intelligence to identify and resolve common problems before the operational impact. So it's pretty much proactive. It also provides us into the visibility into the cloud, into the costs, to forecast our utilization rates and resource requirements. The kind of reports that it provides actually lets you know what the posture of a data protection is at this point of time, and are we meeting our SLA compliance. With ransomware and data security, it helps protect data from ransomware with the protect, defend, and recover options, while ensuring the reliability and compliance and privacy needed to adhere. If you have any specific guidelines or regulations, we make sure that you go ahead and meet them. And it does it consistently. So the kind of consistent reporting and analysis for compliance it does, it actually prevents you from any audit surprises that happen. Before every restore, it performs a compliance analysis. What it also does is it looks for abnormalities in the data or workloads, which represent ransomware attacks, and provides an on-demand reported and actionable documentation. The new immutable feature actually ensures that when we do immutable backups, it is fully protected from attacks, and we can safely restore malware free through the secure restore. So it's a pretty strong, powerful tool. The data reuse. So when systems are managed intelligently, managing data, it actually becomes a powerful tool to drive innovation. With the Veeam Data Labs, we can create a virtual sandbox lab environment to do some kind of management and app testing. In this case, we can automate and secure the sandbox environments so that we can use it for development and testing of applications. Depending on what was the best last environment, production environment, we can use it for staged and secure restore, for data integrity, as well as compliance. And we can use the same backups, which are just lying around, to run some business analytics. So what it provides is a data integration app or a data API by which we can share our backups directly with the data analysis tools. It is a centralized real-time data source for analytics. Veeam solutions are scalable. So you can start small and then move to a medium, large, a multi-cloud or a service provider kind of environment. We can expand our backup infrastructure to meet the growing needs by adding proxies. So initially what we can do is the backup server itself can run as a proxy as well as a repository in a small environment. And as we grow, we can expand our backup structure to meet the growing needs by adding more proxies, more repositories, even adding a scale out repository and moving data into the cloud or protecting your Office 365 infrastructure. So that's a basic architecture of how Veeam backup and replication works. So Veeam backup and replication can protect the virtual workloads without the use of AD agents. If you see the backup server is basically a Windows-based physical or a virtual VM. It is the core component of the and works as a configuration and control center. Now, the job of the backup server is to coordinate backup replication, recovery verification, as well as restore tasks. It does the job scheduling and the resource allocation as well. You can set up the rest of the backup infrastructure and specify the global settings of the backup in the backup server. Initially, in a small environment, it can also perform the role of a backup proxy, which is the data handling role, and the backup repository, the data storing tasks. So put in short, that's the small Veeam backup and replication. As we grow our environment, we can have different servers as a backup proxy and different storage device as a backup repository. The Veeam file share backup solution. So with the enhanced file share backup, we can actually now protect SMB shares, NFS shares, Windows and the Linux file servers. So Veeam uses a unique file change tracking mechanism, which enables fast and efficient incremental backups of files. It also has the ability to leverage storage snapshot as a backup source. Well, what happens when we actually leverage storage snapshot as a backup source? So we are not working on the production file system to take the backups. When you use storage snapshot as a backup source, it removes the issues which are created due to locking the production files and completely minimizes the impact that we have on production. So that's one advantage of the enhanced file share backups that are provided by Veeam file share backup. Veeam agents. Now, Veeam agents allow enterprises of any size to protect the environment from a single backup and replication management console, because it can lead to interruptions in the business. When you see the Veeam agents, we have Veeam agents for Windows, we have Veeam agents for Linux. Now, these have been there for a long time. The new addition to this was the Veeam agent for Mac. So with Veeam agents for Windows and Linux, the backup server can manage these completely. For AIX, Solaris, and Mac agents, they are visible to the backup server, but they are not manageable by the Veeam backup server. The Veeam agent for Macs performs local and offsite user profile backups and restores of Mac OS workloads, which helps in quickly recovering lost, damaged, or deleted user profiles of files. Veeam agent for Unix, AIX, and Solaris can perform OS file level backups and restores of IBM AIX and Oracle Solaris workloads, which actually helps in quickly restoring from corrupted, lost, and damaged physical systems. Then we have the Veeam backup for Office 365. So where we can go ahead and back up the entire Microsoft Office 365 from Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. And with the help of Veeam Explorers, we can view the contents of the backup file. we can actually restore Microsoft Online, individual Exchange, and SharePoint items, Teams data, including the entire Teams or specific channels and settings. While actually restoring the environment, we can compare the items with production. We can export the data and send them as email attachments as well. So I think enough of me talking. We will actually go ahead and hit the lab. So we have prepared a lab environment as soon as we finish this Veeam backup for Office 365. So why is it important? Because software as a service is quickly becoming the way organizations are doing business, and Microsoft Office 365 is actually leading this solution. Most important thing to realize is that even though Microsoft hosts the infrastructure, it does not eliminate the user responsibility. The user is still responsible for their own data and to back up the business critical data. It is the job of the user to ensure that you back up the data to avoid any permanent loss. So Veeam backup for Office 365 eliminates the risk of data loss for the entire Microsoft Office suite, including Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and OneDrive for business and Microsoft Teams. So let's hit the lab. We'll see how a backup and a restore works, because the best way to learn something is to get our hands dirty. So I have already logged into my lab, and I have the Veeam backup and replication open. So that's how the Veeam backup and replication window looks like. We have the inventory. We can see the current backup jobs. If I go to the backup infrastructure, I can see the backup proxies, the backup repositories, the scale of repositories, and I can see the storage infrastructure. So at this point of time, I have the Cisco Hyperflex added. To create a backup job is very easy. You can right click, create a backup job from the virtual machine. And let's call it backup job 1 and hit next. And it is asking us to add virtual machines to the backup job. I do have the environment. So this is my virtual center environment, and I have 4 hosts, and we can see that we have 2 virtual machines which are powered off, on which we are going to work. So let's add these 2 virtual machines to our backup environment. And we'll create a backup job to back up those 2 virtual machines. And I have created a backup repository for the VMware, sorry, the backup proxy. So I'm just going to use the backup proxy and leave it at the default repository. We can also set advanced settings while taking the backup to check if it's incremental backup or reverse incremental or full backup. The maintenance tab is a new tab which was introduced in the previous version of Veeam. We have the storage, and what I'm looking for is the integration. So I would like to enable the backup from the storage snapshots. So when we go ahead and take a backup, we'll actually check how it works. I'm not, since the VMs are already powered off, I'm not enabling any application or guest file processing. And I don't want to set a schedule at this time because this is just a demo job. So let's just run the backup job, and I'll click run and finish. So at this point of time, the backup job is created and it has started, and we can see the statistics of the backup job. It's going to take some time to run, but if you want to go into more details, we can click on the VM itself, which is performing the backup. and says it's queued for processing. So at this point of time, it is checking the change block tracking because it is creating an incremental backup. And let's go ahead and check for VM2 as well, and it's performing the same tasks. So it's easier to actually go ahead and create backups and use those backups for restore. Now, if you see that it is using the storage snapshot, so at this point of time, I have the Hyperflex connected to it, and it is going ahead and using the integration with the Hyperflex to create a storage snapshot of the virtual machines. And what it also does is once the virtual machine snapshot is done and the backup is completed, it will go ahead and delete the snapshot. So that's how the processing of the backup takes place. We're just going to wait for a minute because we'll also do the 2 types of or 3 types of restore if possible. So we'll do a VM restore. We'll restore an entire VM into the virtual environment. We'll also use the Veeam explorers to do an Active Directory recovery, and we can also do a database recovery or recovery of files or folders, whatever is more comfortable. So it might just take some time, a minute or two, to complete the backup. In the meantime, we can also log into our workstation and see that we have only 2 VMs running. So let me just minimize this and let me connect to my remote desktop. My skill server. So what I'm doing is I'm just multitasking at the same time. And making myself ready to go ahead and do the restores for the Active Directory for the SQL. Okay, I guess the backup is completed successfully. It says successful for both the VMs, so we can close this window. And to run the restore jobs, all we have to do is come to backup, disks, and we can see that the backup job is here. So let's try to restore one of the VMs that we have backed up with the instant VM recovery feature. And I'm going to select VM1. Next. I'm going to restore it as a new location because I do not want to disturb my and restore. So next, I'll leave it as it is. Demo purpose. I'm not going to connect it because I don't want to change my production environment. So at this point of time, we are restoring the VM from the backup that we just created. And we are restoring it as an entirely different VM. And we can see from the task that it is going ahead and performing the restore of the VM. And it's now registering the VM, so we are almost done. And the recover has completed successfully. I guess we can close this window and let's move on to our virtual environment. And we can see that the VM has been restored as a new VM. That's what the name that we provided. And it's been published into the production environment. So that's how we do an instant VM recovery into the environment. And because I do not want this VM to show up in my vCenter, I would go ahead and stop publishing the VM. So it is dismounting the VM which was published and remove the VM from my vCenter. And if you go ahead and check, my vCenter no longer has the VM that was restored. So that's how easy it is to perform a VM restore. I will also go ahead, let's also go ahead and do restore of individual SQL files. So I have taken a backup of this before starting. So if we are to restore guest files for an operating system, I can do that. Now, let's go to my SQL server and let's browse to the C drive. And I do have a folder. Yeah, okay. So I can use the software folder, and I'm just going ahead and deleting this folder permanently. So I no longer have the software folder in my SQL drive, SQL server. And what I'm doing now is, let me just restore it to an earlier backup that I've taken. Again, for demo purpose, next, finish. And what this will open is a backup browser. My lab is getting a bit slower, so it might take a minute or two. And we have the backup browser open. Yep, and we do see the skill server, and we can browse through the contents, and we do see the software folder. So all I have to do is restore the software folder from the previous backup that I have taken, and it's very fast. We can see the details of what's happening. That's cool. It seems that the restore has completed, and if we go back and see our, oh, I can see the software folder back. So the software folder is back. So that's how we go ahead and restore guest files. And we can also restore stuff from the Active Directory. So if a single user or anything gets deleted, we can actually view and compare the backup environment with the current environment. So for example, I can go and I can use Microsoft Active Directory for objects. And I can select a single point in time and say next. In the meantime, I can go and to my Active Directory server and open the Active Directory. And if I have a user, and if I go ahead and delete this user, so this user does not exist anymore, I've deleted him from the Active Directory, and I go back to my environment, demo, next, and it'll open the wide world. Yep, so it is opening the Veeam Explorer for Active Directory. My apologies, I think we are ahead from a time perspective, but it would be good to just see everything in person. So that's how we go to the users and groups. And if I see the management, I can see the user exists here. I can compare this folder and show me the changed objects. So this user does not exist in the environment. I can restore this user immediately. And the restore has succeeded. If we go back to our Active Directory and refresh it, we should be able to see that the user is back. So that's how easy it is to actually go ahead and run the environment. And we'll now go through the rest of the slides, which are not much. So that's the solution architecture for the Veeam Service Provider Console. It's a cloud-enabled platform for centralized management and monitoring of the data protection, operations, and services. It actually gives the service provider remote management features such as starting, stopping backup jobs, and opening RDP connections, etc. for the Veeam backup recovery and Veeam agents. And what the power that service provider get is also that the Veeam powered cloud backup and recovery service, backup as a service and DR as a service can be provided as managed services to the customers. So on the left side, when you see the Veeam service provider data center, you can see that the cloud repository, the tenants can actually store the data into the cloud repository when they get connected to the Veeam service provider console. The Veeam one is the monitoring agent, and it actually provides true proactive management for reporting any visibility and running any analytics. It detects issues before they become problems, which actually helps, to create a good support experience, and manages backups according to whatever is the compliance goals that the organization wants to meet. So there are four things that it provides. It provides the infrastructure reporting and infrastructure assessment reporting, a compliance reporting related to backups, ransomware planning, and remediation actions. At the end, we are going to touch down on the Veeam disaster recovery orchestrator because it is a complex environment built to cover the business continuity and disaster recovery needs. The traditional processes for disaster recovery were very complex, manual, and time consuming. Now everything can be done automatically. It can be tested, self-documented, and the DR plans can be executed in just one click. So we can, as we have seen in the lab as well, we can recover from a single application item to entire sites, to an entire VM. So say the VM is a web server, so we can restore the entire sites as well. What backup and replication provides is disaster recovery automated testing using the inbuilt virtual sandbox feature. With the Veeam one, working with the Veeam disaster recovery orchestrator, we can get a true disaster recovery management and monitoring of our backups. We can ensure that they are meeting the RPO, and the SLA visibility, reporting, and analytics can be done very quickly. with the Veeam data labs. Now, these are the data labs. This is kind of an isolated environment. It is used for automating and testing of disaster and to verify the recoveries. It ensures that organizations can quickly recover on-prem, in the cloud, or to the cloud, limiting the entire downtime. What Veeam Data Labs has is three things. One is the application group, which actually goes ahead and creates the surroundings and the environment for the VMs or the verified VMs. The virtual lab. The virtual lab is the isolated environment where the backup and the replication verifies these VMs. And then we have the Sure Backup job. It's a technology by Veeam that lets you test Veeam backups and check if you can recover the data from them. So it's a nice isolated environment where we can perform our testing of disaster, and we can do it automatically. We can automate the testing of disaster recovery. The Veeam Cloud Connect service provider, Veeam backup server. So when you see the tenants on the left side, the tenants only know about the cloud hosts and repositories. But the Veeam backup server on the tenant side cannot communicate directly with the cloud host and the cloud repositories inside the service provider. It has to go through the Cloud Connect gateways. So gateway is actually what provides the data communication and transfer in the cloud. There's a network component. It's actually a network component that resides on the service provider, and it runs a Windows server, which has the cloud gateway service running. It is the only communication point inside the service provider's cloud. The service provider's Cloud Connect backup server, the one inside the environment on the right, it actually sets up the Cloud Connect infrastructure and delivers the Cloud Connect repository for the service provider to provide the backup as a service and disaster recovery as a service to the tenants. When we come to Veeam backup and replication inside, it is optimized to pull. The most important thing is inside the cloud, it is optimized to pull the data it needs from the cloud. So you don't have to back up a large chunk to get your small amount of data. With the help of Veeam backup and replication in the cloud, you can only pull the data that you need. And it also helps to reduce the costs. There is a backup proxy that sits between the backup server and the components of the backup infrastructure. Now, the backup proxy performs the most important task of compressing, deduplicating, and encrypting. It also performs the job of retrieving the data from the production storage and then sending it to the backup repository. It works with three transport modes. One is the direct storage access. The second is the virtual appliance, and third is the network transport mode. The direct storage access is the default mode in which it works. Similarly, the Veeam backup and replication also has the Veeam backup repository where we actually store the data. It could be on a storage. It can be a direct attached storage, a storage area network, a NAS, or a dedupe appliance, or it could also be in the cloud as an object storage. The cloud data management platform. So what do customers fear most while entering into the cloud? They mostly have concerns regarding the complexity in operating and protecting a hybrid or a cloud-only environment. And what is the major misconception that customers have once they move into the cloud? That my data is automatically protected if it's in the cloud. Well, it's not. That's the reason why Veeam solutions such as Veeam Availability Suite, Backup and Replication, Veeam One, and Veeam Agents are available. They provide in-depth single pane of glass solutions for protection of workloads across multiple platforms. That's the physical, virtual, and the clouds. With the Veeam One, we actually go ahead and get a real-time visibility and historical data tracking. So Veeam One is the #1 monitoring tool that exists inside the Veeam solution. With the Veeam agents, They can be deployed in cloud VM workloads. So inside the Azure AWS environments, you can deploy the Veeam agents. And they can be managed directly from the Veeam backup and replication console, provided they are Veeam agents for Windows and Linux. So for Veeam agents for Mac and AIX, Solaris, and Unix, they are visible in the backup server, but they are not manageable. The cloud data management platform. So we have already discussed this, that it's actually pretty much portable. So you can port your VMs out from different clouds. You can move from on-premises to cloud-based workloads, and you can restore to the clouds. It provides a greater level of availability when your data is in the cloud, as well as provides decreasing costs. So that's about it from my end. I hope this session was good. I'm sorry about the time that we have gone beyond the time constraint. But if there are any questions or queries, please reach out to myself, please reach out to Bernard, or please reach out to Jake. I will go ahead and hit the slide, the first slide again. Let me just get the details of the first slide. And if it is not possible at this point of time to complete the exams, yep. So that's the Veeam team. Yeah. And if it's not possible, sorry, go ahead, Bernie. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Pankaj. Sorry, guys, just to quickly chime in. So on Pro Partner, so let me know if you guys have managed to set up your Pro Partner IDs just yet. If you've registered today, please feel free to shoot me an email. I'll populate it in the chat box, and then I'll follow up one by one, and then I'll get somebody at Veeam to activate your login for you, so you can complete the certification. For those of you that actually have logins, yeah, feel free to jump in and give it a crack. So you'll have a first attempt. So it's the test itself is pretty much, you're looking at about 20-25 questions, right? And then so in the event that you don't make it with the first pass, just what I normally recommend is just have a Word doc, a PowerPoint, or OneNote, or whatever is your tool of fancy. Take the screenshot of the questions that you got right, and as well as the ones you got wrong. And then have a look at the content and have a look at the question and try and figure out why you got it wrong. And then go back and sit it again a second time, because you'll know what you got right already, so you know the answer, so it'll be quicker. So if you say, okay, I clicked A on question number 6, chances are that's the answer. So you don't have to worry about thinking about that again. You just click that and move on. For the ones you got wrong, at least you've had an opportunity to revisit. In the event that, take for instance, you feel that you need a little bit more time, you need more for one-on-one, we're more than happy to organize a one-on-one session and to help you, so we can block out a few hours during the day. We'll sit with you, we'll help you take the test. So just a heads up, to do the VMTSP, there's a ticker box exercise to do the sales one as well, but the sales one's like cruisy, just a few hours of your time, and just go through the content and click, and then that's it, and then just move over to the technical one, fairly quick and easy. So yeah, if that's about it. So just let us know how you guys are going, and happy to assist. So I'm populating my email address in the chat box. So if you want to shoot me an email, so we can schedule one-on-ones to help you with the certifications. Let me know how you're going. Like if you're facing challenges with some of the questions, or if you need, tips and tricks, yeah, happy to jump on a call so we can help you. Myself and Pankaj and Jake, we can probably help you as well. In terms of the slide, so we'll be sharing the slides. There will be a recording as well that we are happy to share with you as well, so you can go through the content again. Yeah, if you guys want to stick around and ask a few more questions, feel free. To those of you that are time poor, yeah, feel free to drop off and yeah, and let us know how you go. If you want to do this, quick question: has anyone done the cert? Or is doing the cert as we speak? Okay. All right. Cool. So anyway, the clock, we're running out of runway in terms of the booking for this webinar. So yeah, again, I've populated my email address. I'll hand over back to Pankaj for final words.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks, Benny. Thanks, guys, for joining. And if there are any kind of feedbacks, we would really appreciate it. And let us know if a one-on-one is required to complete the certification. We would all like to see you on the other side and grow as a Veeam Pro partner. That's all from our end.
Yeah. So there's a quick question from Asim. So where can you find the test or the exam? So navigate to propartner.com. So propartner.veeam.com. And then once you're in there, go to Veeam IQ. And then within Veeam IQ, under certifications, you can find that. Pankaj, can you do me a favor and quickly go back to that slide just before we leave? Just quickly, just for a minute or 30 seconds, just to show us in.
Yep. Let me just go directly to the slides.
Yeah. Right. So if you could maximize that, that'll be great.
Yep.
All right. So it's propartner.veeam.com. Once you log in, next slide, please. And then once you're in there, just go to Veeam IQ.
Learning and events is,
yeah, correct. Learning and events. From learning and events, certification, and that's where you'll find it. All right, guys. Thanks once again for joining the call, and look forward to catching you on the next one. Again, we'll send through the information, the slide decks, and the recording. Feel free to reach out to myself and Pankaj.
Thanks, guys. Good day.